Hello, everybody, and welcome into After the Game Indiana basketball as the Hoosiers take on the Notre Dame Fighting Irish today in the last and final installment in the Crossroads Classic, joined by Kirk Haston, former IU great today. I like to call him Governor. He hates that. But, Kirk, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, man, it's a pleasure always to talk to you, brother. How's the family doing?
Everybody's doing good. My wife just turned 39 for like the second straight year, but she and her twin sister have left to go on a trip for their 40th birthday party, and so it's just me and the kids for the next few days. So as long as the video stays up here, we're fine. If you look down below, it'll be bad. So we're trying to survive.
I hear you. Doing the same thing here. Today, here at Gamebridge Fieldhouse in Indianapolis, Indiana, taking on a Notre Dame team coming off of a win over Kentucky. So they were kind of jacked up and ready to go. And it was a kind of a tough game early on, but Indiana wasn't shooting the ball very well. And Notre Dame did a great job of bottling up Trace Jackson Davis early. I don't think Kirk heard me on that last time. Kirk, I was talking about the game today. Indiana not shooting the ball very well early on, and Notre Dame did a great job of bottling up Trace Jackson early on.
Yeah, that was a big difference. They, it was nice to see Finney and Kopp come through and hit a couple of key time threes when it was getting a little tight at certain points. I think that the 3-point defense on the other side, if Indiana fans are a little down about maybe what the 3-point shooting looked like, I think Notre Dame had a really long night from the 3-point line. I don't know what the stats ended up saying at the end, but it didn't seem like they were a very good percentage. This used to be I think the Indiana Classic. It's had a lot of different iterations over the years, but any time that you're playing in front of a home, kind of a hometown neutral crowd, it's a fun win to get an in-state win.
Absolutely. You talked about the 3-point shooting for Notre Dame. No, it was not good at all overall on the day. They were 4 of 22. Those are some numbers that Indiana fans have seen in the past, but luckily, that's not the case now. Indiana didn't shoot the ball early on, but they brought it around, and like I said at the end, they did in the first half. Well, that's Notre 47%. That can't be right because they didn't shoot 47% in the first half. But anyway, for the game, they brought it back around into the 40s to where they normally are. But Notre Dame did a good job, and we're going to see this a lot this year, especially in Big Ten. Teams getting Trace Jackson bottled up, and Indiana has to find someone to score on those when that happens.
Yeah, there's nobody that really can guard him one-on-one. I mean, unless it's a concerted effort in a zone, or if they're going to be throwing some double teams. And he's a good enough passer, and he's got good enough instincts that he's going to make the right decisions. It's just a matter of if the guys on the other side of that good decision makes a good shot. And it's just that's the way it goes this year. I mean, when a couple guys step up and hit some key time shots.
There we go. I think we lost you there for a second, but I hear you.
I'm gonna try to move up closer to my router and see if I can get a little bit better service there. Sorry about that.
Well, it's not a problem. We all have that problem. Service today. That's life today, man. If you don't have internet, you don't have a life.
No. Sorry. I hope nobody's getting seasick kind of watching me walk around my house real quick.
Oh, all enjoyed it. They were see now we got the Christmas decorations in the back though, so it brings a little Christmas spirit to as Indiana going on a Christmas break. What were these games like when you had these games around the holidays? Because it's not a holiday for the players. You have to play in these games. You mentioned the Indiana and the Hoosier Classic that they used to have, and this
Yeah.
and that. But you still have to squeeze in practice and all of that, and you've got to manage all of that.
Basketball's one of the worst seasons to play as far as holidays are concerned because, Thanksgiving, a lot of times you're in a different, you'll be in Hawaii or somewhere in Bahamas, or you'll be in Alaska in college basketball if you're one of these schools. And I remember probably the worst Christmas break I had was we had about a day and a half after we got beat at Freedom Hall versus Kentucky. And so if we'd won, we probably would have had like a 2.5 day break, but we got beat pretty bad. And so that it was basically I drove home, woke up, opened some presents, and then drove to practice. And so that was that was probably the shortest and the worst one we had. But yeah, the holidays are rough on college basketball players.
This particular Indiana team, they have played really good defense, Kirk, and that's the one thing that they've been able to hang their hat on this year is playing really good defense, and they did so against Notre Dame today. You talked about the three-point shooting. Indiana's got to get some of that credit, as Don mentioned here on the comments. Absolutely, you have to give Indiana some credit for that because they have done a great job this entire season of playing defense. The 2 games they've lost, it was really on their own of what they didn't do. Another thing today is the second half, they didn't fall away, and I've seen them do that in a couple of games.
Yeah, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, we kind of moved over from like more of a, was it the pack line defense is what it used to be, kind of the
whatever that was.
Yeah. I think what we're seeing now is a really smooth, there's a lot of switches. We've got personnel on the floor that's able to guard 1 through 5. And I think that when you have that, you really usually play a lot better defense on the perimeter.
Yeah, and Indiana has done that without question. And they have a lot of new faces, a lot of new athletes, and they're getting that done. Trey Jackson Davis and Race Thompson, both down low, playing really good defense down there. They talked about Mike Bray talking about Trey Jackson today being just a force. And we saw Notre Dame triple teaming him at times. I mean, they were triple teaming him.
By the way, Jackson Davis, I was looking earlier, he's 6'9", 245, which is about exactly what I was. And I did not look like him. I don't know how my 6'9", 245 was distributed, but it's not the same as his 6'9", 245.
I can answer that question for you right now, Kirk. Do you know what? You can help me. Where was the training table where you were in school? Was it still at Steak and Shake?
Yeah, and I had an apartment right next to that old Steak and Shake. I don't think it's open anymore, but my apartment was right next to it, so I could literally walk over to the Steak and Shake, or it was McCree's Deli, or it was one night. I mean, we'd even do like Fazoli's. You can get a lot of food for like $25 at Fazoli's, and so I was feeding like half the managers with the food. I couldn't eat it all. But
that's why you don't have. They have their own training tables and all this other stuff now, and they're working out and doing all this crazy stuff. That's why they look a little different today.
Well, Coach Knott always had at our pregame meals. We had the same food at our pregame meals, whether dinner or lunch, and it would be like hamburger steak, it would be waffles, and it would be spaghetti. That was the 3 things. And so you had some combination of that. And so, there was times where I was eating like 3 waffles before we were playing, Wisconsin. That can't be good. I don't know, but that doesn't seem right.
Well, those his favorite meals or something?
I don't know. I mean, it was those 3 options. And then when we would play road games at the hotels, we would eat at the hotel restaurant, which was usually like a Buffalo Wild Wings kind of place. So we would eat there while the coaches went out to eat, and then we would have a team meeting, and then we would get back to the hotel room, and in the hallways, they would have dessert trays ready for us to get a dessert before we went to bed. So there would be ice cream, cake, and milk that you picked up at 9:45 p.m. on your way to your room.
That sounds really healthy.
Yeah, it was a miracle. It was a miracle that I was able to get up and down the floor.
That sounds like a kid died and went to heaven, man.
Yeah, it was like I was living in the movie Big. I was just like a kid, but I was not.
Michael pointed out Indiana had 16 assists on 21 made field goals. I talked about that earlier before we came on. And because Notre Dame had, what were they, 5 assists on 21 made field goals.
Wow.
Big difference there. But you've got to be happy if you're Indiana with that ratio.
Yeah. And I just, the more, I know you want to win every game by 15 or 20. But there's something to be said about some of these games like this. It's really good preparation for conference play as you get deeper and deeper into conference play to get more and more games where, possessions are, of really high value in that last 4 or 5 minutes. And you've got to find out what's working and what's not. It's better to find that out now in these situations, even if it does, to be honest, result in maybe a loss or two. You can really learn a lot in how to execute down the stretch before you get into some games where it's really going to affect the conference records.
And you talked about Trey Jackson-Davis's size and all that you weren't that big, but you were able to play inside like he did, but you were also able to step outside and knock down perimeter shots, which is something that they've been trying to work with Trey Jackson on. Race Thompson is someone who has been doing that. He'll step out and shoot an occasional three, but an elbow jumper from him has been looking good as well. The bigs for Indiana, they've got to shoot the ball a little bit more, I think.
Yeah. That's a natural progression of also how you can counteract, dealing with double teams, and is to be able to extend them out, because if they do stay with you that far out, somebody's definitely going to be open underneath. But it's just almost impossible to do that. So if you can really extend that range, which I think they both can, it's just a matter. I guarantee you they wear it out all the time in practice and probably pregame. It's just a matter of getting reps and trusting it in game, because they both have really good touches with around the basket.
And being a guy that played this position a lot, Trace and Race, the progression of Race Thompson over the couple of years, the years that he's been here, man, he just has really grown in his role.
Yeah, to see him evolve has been a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to, as of right now, I'm planning on, my 2 boys we were planning on going to a game last year. My 2 boys haven't been to a game in Assembly Hall, so we're planning on coming in for the game next Wednesday if all goes according to plan. Hopefully that they really like Trace and Race, so hopefully they'll get to see a pretty good show at Assembly Hall when they get to see him in person.
Absolutely, we'll have to have them down for the post-game show there when they come in. That'd be awesome. That's cool. That's good. Glad to know you're coming in. Charlie Miller is always talking about wanting players wanting to come back and getting back here as often as he can, and all the other guys. It's how important is that for this program now, for the players to be coming back and wanting to be coming back?
I think it's just vital. I mean, it's just that alumni family connection. It's something that starts selling itself if it can be sustained over a period of time. I mean, it just goes to that all important word culture when you're trying to build a program that's going to be building a new legacy for itself, and you just want to have that culture behind it. And I think that's important, and I think that they're doing a really good job of that the last year or two.
Absolutely. Getting back to the game, and before I forget, we're brought to you, of course, by our good friends at Southern Stone Restaurant in Bloomington at the corner of Patterson and Rogers, where you can find Mike Woodson's show each Monday night at 7:05 with Don Fisher. So make sure you show up there. Another comment by Joey. I think it's time for more back screens to get Parker open. He's on fire. The dude can shoot. Today, what did he go? 3 for 3 today, I think. Or 3 for 4. He put
and
up
he's not
more.
afraid. He's not afraid to defend his guys if he needs to get in there.
Man, he can get on it. He did today, and his quick release on his 3-point shot has been. That's the thing. I'd like to see Xavier finding him a little bit more frequently for a 3.
Yeah. Now, Parker, if I'm not mistaken, he's a Tennessee kid originally,
Oh,
isn't he?
that's right. That's right.
Yeah, he's Class A. He actually in 2016 was on the team that eliminated one of the teams in our district that's one of our rivals that we can't stand. And so, if I get a chance to talk to him, I'm going to make sure to thank him for beating Loretto in 2016. But yeah, I was glad to see him come to Indiana. He had an incredible career. I think they're the Golden Tornadoes in Union City. We've played them a few times when I was coaching and playing, but it's good to have another Tennessee kid on the roster.
Yeah, and you will get to do that. Looking forward to that for you. Yeah, I know someone commented my audio's out of sync. Yeah, I can see that. Unfortunately, I have a slow link, I believe, here today. Unfortunately, and I apologize for that. Uh, uh, the guard play for Indiana, it's got to come together for them to get better. They're winning, but when you enter into Big Ten play, as we've seen, that's going to be a rough ride, man. The Big Ten is loaded as it has been for the last couple of years, and guard play is where it starts and ends. And Indiana has got the guys to get the job done, but I think they've got to get Xavier in sync with everybody else.
Yeah, I mean, everybody talks about physical play in the Big Ten, and a lot of times you think about that with the big guys, and you think about Michigan State, big guys going after all the offensive rebounds, and the Zach Randolphs of years past, and those guys, Draymond. But Big Ten's always had physical guards, and if you don't have guards that can stand up to that defensively and be able to handle the pressure on the offensive end, it's usually a recipe for disaster in the Big Ten, and I think our guards are capable of doing that. But it really does, the physical play in the Big Ten on the perimeter is always something to be reckoned with.
Having Mike Woodson come in and this team, what differences have you seen this year from this team, from how they're playing? I know former fans, period, and former players, they're all fans as well. What are you seeing from this team that you like?
I think the energy and the rules on defense just seem more consistent and tighter than what they've been in some years past. I mean, it really does seem like that. You see very few straight line attack. Just like there's an open gap and a guy gets in the lane, and it's a layup. Usually a team has to put together a pretty good combination to unlock a spot in our defense to find an opening. And that's usually a good sign. I mean, it's usually good offense almost always will beat good defense, but you really have to limit the easy looks, and I think that consistently this year that's been better. That's been one of the biggest improvements I've seen.
Let's see, who was it? Joey? Was it Joey? Joey, he was talking about the foul on TJD, and actually Trace Jackson talked about that foul after the game. He says, wasn't no big deal. And Mike Bray talked about how Trace Jackson is able to play at that high level all the time, but at a very even-keeled demeanor where he just shrugs stuff off. That is of uber importance because he's the guy that's been on the floor all the time. If he gets a technical or he gets kicked out, that will do nothing but hurt his team. And and while you answer, I'm gonna jump out and try to jump back in and see if it helps me.
Sure. I do love his demeanor. He is, somebody like him is the team goes as he goes, and if he stays calm, then it's always important that everybody usually follows suit with what the leader of the team acts. And so the one play that I got a kick out of was seeing them call the ticky-tack foul on him. Where it was like a slight shove in the back. And it really was. It was usually when you do it with your lower body, they don't call that when he was trying to get the offensive rebound on the box out on the free throw miss. And they called that little shove in the back. And I just thought, man, I tried for 4 years to get that call from Michigan State because Michigan State would just come in and just shove you in the back on every rebound on the free throws, and then he barely nudges the guy, and then they're like, we're going the other way. So that one really did make me laugh when I was watching the game today. But I love his demeanor. I think it really does filter down to the teammates when you have somebody like that, and a lot of times that comes also from your head coach. I mean, I think you have somebody that stays pretty even keeled, and it's always I think it's always a bonus when the temperament of the coach and the temperament of your best player kind of matches. I think that usually makes for some pretty good harmony on the court.
Well, you nailed that. That's exactly how that is. He has that just very, very calm and let it go. And he's a pro, and you could playing in the NBA, as you know. You've got to fight the bigger wars and learn to let the things go. With my signal not being as strong as it should be, I'm going to go ahead and we'll cut her short today. Hope maybe we can get Kirk on next week, Wednesday, when he comes into town at Assembly Hall. We'll retry that then. But Kirk, how's Christmas going for the family?
It's going pretty good. We got, you can't see them, but the presents are wrapped under the tree, and I think that I've got everybody taken care of. But we'll see. I think that I've got to move the elf at some point tonight before my daughter gets home. But so far, I have an alarm set that goes off every night at 11:30 to help remind me so I don't forget. So I've got to make sure to stay on top of that.
Well, man, thank you so much. I'm sorry we had a little technical problem here today, but that's from being in a new location. But like I said, we'll try to see maybe we can work that out Wednesday on your trip up. But have a happy weekend no matter what. And thank you so much for taking the time out today.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
You bet. Kirk Haston, the great former IU player here, joining us on After the Game, Indiana basketball, as they defeat Notre Dame today. Final score 64-56. We'll be back with you on Monday morning with After the Game. And like I said, we'll try to get Kirk on again next Wednesday to do this all again. But I hope you guys have a great rest of your weekend. Thanks a lot to you for being on here with us. We appreciate you. Thanks a lot to Kirk Haston. And until Monday morning, I am Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.